Hello, sophomores. We're going to be wrapping up Act 5 of A Midsummer Night's Dream today. Um, just rounding out, really, the play within the play, and then the play within the play within the play. You'll see what I mean by the last line. But we'll jump through it. The plan is to finish up this today. No questions about Act 5, jumping directly into an essay then about Midsummer Night's Dream. And we're going to try to keep it a pretty standard schedule, as though we were in class 3 days of writing, due by 11:59 on Saturday, and then feedback by Monday. We'll see how it works. Anyways, we'll jump into listening to this and wrapping it up today here.
Enter Pyramus and Thisbe, Wall, Moonshine, and Lion.
Gentles, perchance you wonder at this show, but wonder on, till truth makes all things plain. This man is Pyramus, if you would know. This beauteous lady Thisbe is certain. This man with lime and rough cast doth present Wall, that vile wall which did these lovers sunder. And through Wall's chink, poor souls, they are content to whisper. At the which let no man wonder. This man with lanthorn, dog, and bush of thorn presenteth moonshine. For if you will know, by moonshine did these lovers think no scorn to meet at Ninna's tomb. There to woo. This grisly beast, which Lion hight by name, the trusty Thisbe coming first by night, did scare away, or rather did affright. And as she fled, her mantle she did fall, which Lion vile with bloody mouth did stain. Anon comes Pyramus, sweet youth and tall, and finds his trusty Thisbe's mantle slain, whereat with bloody blameful blade, he bravely broke his boiling bloody breast, and Thisbe tearing in a mulberry shade, his dagger drew and died. For all the rest let Lion, Moonshine, Wall, and lovers twain, at large discourse, while they here do remain.
Exeunt Prologue, Thisbe, Lion, and Moonshine.
I wonder if the lion be to speak.
No wonder, my lord. One lion may, when many asses do.
In this same interlude it doth befall that I, one Snout by name, present a wall, and such a wall as I would have you think that had in it a crannied hole or chink, through which the lovers, Pyramus and Thisbe, did whisper often very secretly. This loam, this rough cast, and this stone doth show that I am that same wall. The truth is so. And this the cranny is, right and sinister, through which the fearful lovers are to whisper.
Would you desire Lime and Hair to speak better?
It is the wittiest partition that ever I heard discourse, my lord.
Enter Pyramus.
Pyramus draws near the wall. Silence.
All right, and so here we have maybe a bit of still Theseus trying to make his point that these actors are doing the best they can. Demetrius fires back and says, well, it's certainly the smartest wall I've ever heard talk. But either way, Theseus seems to still have some love for the actors and still think that they're trying to do well. And as in line 178, puts Pyramus back in his place so he can hear the lines coming up.
O grim look night, O night with hue so black, O night which ever art when day is not. O night, alack, alack, alack. I fear my Thisbe's promise is forgot. And thou, O wall, O sweet, O lovely wall, that stands between her father's ground and mine, thou wall, O sweet and lovely wall, show me thy chink, to blink through with mine eyne.
Wall holds up his fingers.
Thanks, courteous wall. Jove shield thee well for this. But what see I? No Thisbe do I see. O wicked wall, through whom I see no bliss. Cursed be thy stones for thus deceiving me.
The wall, methinks, being sensible, should curse again.
No, in truth, sir, he should not. Deceiving me is Thisbe's cue. She's to enter now, and I'm to spy her through the wall. You shall see. It will fall pat, as I told you. Yonder she comes.
Okay, and here we have one of those jokes, aside from just the poor production value of the wall having to hold up his hand and kind of separate his fingers so that Bottom can give his lines through it as though he were speaking through a hole in a real wall. Theseus makes a joke that if the wall was sensible, it would curse back at Bottom for just cursing the wall's stones here. And Bottom chimes in and says, no, Theseus, you don't understand. That line is actually a cue for Thisbe to enter. She's supposed to enter now, and I'm going to see her through the wall, and you will see it happen. So I think, if Theseus started giving the benefit of the doubt to these actors, they're certainly pushing that. But Theseus will still go through the play kind of being their champion and appreciating the fact that they even just showed up to put on this production.
Enter Thisbe.
O wall, full often hast thou heard my moans for parting my fair Pyramus and me. My cherry lips have often kissed thy stones with lime and hair knit up in thee.
I see a voice. Now will I to the chink, to spy, and I can hear my Thisbe's face. Thisbe!
My love, thou art my love, I think.
Think what thou wilt, I am thy lover's grace, and like Lemander, on my trusty stealth.
And I like Helen till the fates me kill.
Not Shafalus to Procrus was so true.
As
You'll notice here a bit of a joke, and that's what the highlights in my book would say, that Lymander sounds very much like Lysander. Helen, of course, sounds very much like Helena. Again, Shakespeare playing on that idea that lovers are basically interchangeable. You can take, in this play, one boy and one girl and kind of swap them around at any configuration you want. And there's probably at some point some romance going on in it. So Shakespeare's still playing that joke here.
Shafalus to Procrus, I to you.
Oh, kiss me through the hole of this vile wall.
I kiss the wall's hole, not your lips at all.
Wilt thou at Ninny's tomb meet me straight away?
Tide life, tide death, I come, without delay.
And if you're playing along at home, Bottom misses that line again with the malapropism. It was supposed to be Ninna's tomb. He says Ninny's tomb, the idiot's tomb. So for everything going right, I guess there's still things going wrong.
Exeunt Pyramus and Thisbe.
Thus have I, Wall, my part discharged so, and being done, thus Wall away doth go.
Exit.
Now is the mural down between the two neighbors.
No remedy, my lord, when walls are so willful to hear without warning.
This is the silliest stuff that ever I heard.
The best in this kind are but shadows, and the worst are no worse, if imagination amend them.
It must be your imagination, then, and not theirs.
All right.
If we imagine no...
So we have an interesting exchange happening here. We might be able to look at Hippolyta's lines that this is the silliest stuff that she's ever heard and think that maybe she's warming up a bit to the actors. But she and Theseus will have a debate coming up. And basically it's about whether or not this is a bad play. Theseus takes the point that the best in this kind are but shadows, and the worst are no worse if imagination amend them. Basically, if we use our minds to make ourselves watch the play we want to watch rather than the play we are watching, it can still be the best play imaginable. And I think that for Theseus and Shakespeare, that's not just true of plays, but also true of people, that if your imagination amends them, you add good qualities to a person who might not actually have them just because you love them so much, but that's basically the same as them actually having those qualities. Your life is going to kind of feel the same way, whether you're imagining them with every ounce of your will, or whether those things are actually there. Hippolyta will take up the position that it must be your imagination then and not theirs. So she seems to be saying, well, that doesn't necessarily make it true, but we'll see Theseus kind of come back at her in a second with still his idea that probably perception in general makes life either good or bad.
Worse of them than they of themselves, they may pass for excellent men. Here comes two noble beasts in, a man and a lion.
All right, and so with these lines, Theseus says if we imagine no worse of them, than they of themselves, they may pass for excellent men. That it doesn't just take somebody thinking that another person's great, it often takes that person that's being thought of as great to think of themselves as great too. So if you loved somebody, but they didn't see what you loved about them in themselves, it probably wouldn't work. But if they think that they're a great singer and you think they're a great singer and to everybody else they're not a very good singer, it's probably going to work because you two are on the same page. So it seems like that's kind of Theseus' belief here. Interesting that he thinks so highly of himself and maybe isn't picking up that this could apply to him as well. But
Enter Lion and Moonshine.
You ladies, yous gentle hearts do fear the smallest monstrous mouse that creeps on floor. May now perchance both quake and tremble here, when lion rough in wildest rage doth roar. Then know that I, one snug the joiner am, a lion fell, nor else no lion's dam. For if I should as lion come in strife into this place, 'twere pity on my life.
all right, really good speech here from Snug, and I think what makes it even more interesting is that if you remember back to Act 1, Scene 2, Snug says that he's poor of study, or slow of study, I don't remember exactly which one. Anyways, that he's not going to be able to remember his lines. I think Shakespeare's playing on that again, that he gives one of, I think, the most well-spoken speeches here. He's still hung up on the idea that ladies whose gentle hearts do fear the smallest monstrous mouse that creeps on floor need to watch out because it's Snug the Joiner playing a lion. It's still going to be a scary lion, but it's actually just Snug the Joiner.
A very gentle beast, of a good conscience.
The very best at a beast, my lord, that e'er I saw.
This lion is a very fox for his valor.
True, and a goose for his discretion.
Not so, my lord, for his valor cannot carry his discretion, and the fox carries the goose.
His discretion, I am sure, cannot carry his valor, for the goose carries not the fox. It is well. Leave it to his discretion, and let us listen to the moon.
This lanthorn doth the horned moon present.
He should have worn the horns on his head.
He is no crescent, and his horns are invisible within the circumference.
All right, so just a kind of cheap joke at the moon's expense here. Demetrius saying he should have worn the horns on his head. Again, going back to that idea of cuckolding, it doesn't seem directly relevant maybe to anybody here. Perhaps it's a reference to Oberon, but it just kind of a cheap, dirty joke Shakespeare throws in, I think, to keep the banter going.
This lanthorn doth the horned moon present. Myself, the man in the moon, do seem to be.
This is the greatest error of all the rest. The man should be put into the lanthorn. How is it else the man in the moon?
He dares not come there for the candle, for, you see, it is already in snuff.
I am aweary of this moon. Would he would change.
It appears by his small light of discretion that he is in the wane, but yet, in courtesy, in all reason, we must stay the time.
Proceed, moon.
All that I have to say is to tell you that the lanthorn is the moon, I, the man in the moon, this thorn bush, my thorn bush, and this dog, my dog.
Why, all these should be in the lanthorn, for all these are in the moon. But silence, here comes Thisbe.
Enter Thisbe.
This is old Nilly's tomb. Where is my love?
Thisbe runs off.
Well roared, lion.
Well run, Thisbe.
Well shone, moon. Truly the moon shines with a good grace.
All right, so here we have a couple more little jokes. One is that Flute has now screwed up the line. And then everybody kind of praising the actors here, but for different silly things. We do see Hippolyta getting in on this and making fun of the moon here. Well shown, moon, as if the moon has to do a lot of work to just hold the lantern up. But either way, I think we see her warming to the idea of the play, maybe even the idea of life with Theseus and marriage with Theseus after this.
The lion shakes Thisbe's mantle and exit.
Well moused, lion.
And so the lion vanished.
And then came Pyramus.
Enter Pyramus.
Sweet moon, I thank thee for thy sunny beams. I thank thee, moon, for shining now so bright. For by thy gracious golden glittering gleams, I trust to take of truest Thisbe sight. But stay, oh spite, but mark, poor knight, what dreadful dole is here? Eyes, do you see? How can it be? Oh dainty duck, oh dear, thy mantle good. What? Stained with blood? Approach ye furies fell. Oh fates, come, cut thread and thrum. Quail, crush, conclude, and quarrel.
This passion and the death of a dear friend would go near to make a man look sad.
Beshrew my heart, but I pity the man.
All right, and so we have Theseus making a joke, very much at the expense of the actors, that this actor's passion, if it also happened while the death of a dear friend happened, would actually probably make a man look sad. So probably not much to deal with passion making a man look sad in that case, but the death of his friend, basically saying they're bad actors. But Hippolyta catches herself and says, "Beshrew my heart, but I pity the man. Shame on me, but I actually feel bad for him." And I think we have to wonder if, in a way, she identifies with Bottom here, thinking that his lover is lost, thinking that life will be worthless at this point. Hippolyta probably went through something like it. One thing I haven't touched on either is that we talked as far back as Act 1 with the fact that the actors, for most of the play, speak in prose. Their lines are not kind of poetic verse. They don't necessarily rhyme. They go to the end of the page, things like that. And that people like Theseus, Lysander, Helena, even the fairy queen, I'm blanking, I'm sorry. But anyways, all of these characters, they speak in verse. This is flipped here. And so with these Titania, I'm sorry. All right, with these characters, now the actors as actors are speaking in verse. And if you pay attention to the kind of nobles, they're speaking in prose at this point. So you have one more case of where things are topsy-turvy, that the play started off with the nobles speaking verse and the common people speaking prose, and because this is a celebration, the common people are speaking verse and the noble people get to speak prose. They get to kind of, try on each other's hats for a change.
Oh, wherefore nature didst thou lion's frame, since lion vile hath here deflowered my dear, which is, no, which was the fairest dame that lived, that loved, that liked, that looked with cheer. Come, tears confound, out, sword and wound the pap of Pyramus. Aye, that left pap, where art doth hop,
stabs himself.
Thus die I, thus. Now am I dead, now am I fled, my soul is in the sky. Tongue, lose thy light, moon, take thy flight.
Exit moonshine.
Now, die.
All right, we may have a case here of Shakespeare having a laugh at himself, because this is kind of the classic overdone Shakespearean death speech where somebody dies, then they give a speech, and then they actually die. It seems like he's, in a way, kind of parodying his actual tragedies, where it seems like nobody can just die quietly without giving a 40-line speech about what they're feeling and thinking about as they die.
dies.
No die, but an ace for him, for he is but one.
Less than an ace, man, for he is dead. He is nothing.
With the help of a surgeon, he might yet recover and prove an ass.
How chance Moonshine is gone before Thisbe comes back and finds her lover.
She will find him by starlight. Here she comes, and her passion ends the play.
Re-enter Thisbe.
Methinks she should not use a long one for such a Pyramus. I hope she will be brief.
A mote will turn the balance, which Pyramus, which Thisbe is the better. He for a man, God warrant us. She for a woman, God bless us.
She hath spied him already with those sweet eyes.
And thus she means the deficit.
Asleep, my love. What? Dead, my dove? Oh, Pyramus, arise! Speak, speak. Quite dumb? Dead, dead? A tomb must cover thy sweet eyes. These lily lips? This cherry nose? These yellow cowslip cheeks? Are gone, are gone. Lovers make moan. His eyes were green as leeks. O sisters three, come, come to me, with hands as pale as milk. Lay them in gore, since you have shore with shears his thread of silk. Tongue, not a word. Come, trusty sword. Come, blade, my breast imbrue. She stabs herself. And farewell, friends. Thus Thisbe ends. Adieu. 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 She dies.
Moonshine and Lion are left to bury the dead.
Aye, and the wall too.
No, I assure you. The wall is down that part of their fathers. Will it please you to see the epilogue? Or to hear a burgomask dance between two of our company?
No epilogue, I pray you, for your play needs no excuse.
All right, so before we get into Theseus' speech here, where he comes back to that idea of whether or not anything is actually truly bad or the people just find it bad, Bottom, since that speech he gives at the end of Act 4, has been confusing the senses. See the epilogue or hear a Bergamask dance. Obviously, those should be flipped around. But we also have Bottom and Flute playing Pyramus and Thisbe, getting up, and if they're supposed to be dead, getting back up to explain the play to Theseus is probably something that he screws up. But pay attention to Theseus' kind of outro here, because he will, again, make his case that this play, like Love, is a lot about seeing what you want to see rather than what's actually there. And that's not necessarily a bad thing. It's just something that I think Theseus thinks people ought to be aware of.
Never excuse, for when the players are all dead, there needs none to be blamed. Marry, if he that writ it had played Pyramus and hanged himself in Thisbe's garter, it would have been a fine tragedy, and so it is truly, and very notably discharged. But come, your Bergamask, let your epilogue alone.
A dance.
The iron tongue of midnight hath told 12. Lovers, to bed. 'Tis almost fairy time. I fear we shall outsleep the coming morn as much as we this night have overwatched. This palpable gross play hath well beguiled the heavy gait of night. Sweet friends, to bed. A fortnight hold we this solemnity, in nightly revels and new jollity.
Exeunt. Enter Puck.
Now the hungry lion roars, and the wolf behowls the moon, whilst the heavy ploughman snores, all with wearied task fordone. Now the wasted brands do glow, whilst the screech owl, screeching loud, puts the wretch that lies in woe in remembrance of a shroud. Now it is the time of night, that the graves all gaping wide, every one lets forth his sprite, in the churchway paths to glide. And we fairies, that do run by the triple Hecate's team, from the presence of the sun, following darkness like a dream, now are frolic. Not a mouse shall disturb this hallowed house. I am sent with broom before to sweep the dust behind the door.
All right, and so Puck coming to on behalf of Titania and Oberon, who are now happily back together, at least for the moment, blessing the house, blessing the marriages that have taken place. Oberon and Titania are going to talk a bit more, and then Puck will give his famous closing speech. But I think it's interesting that Puck gets the duties of kind of making sure that the house is blessed properly if Oberon truly thinks he's such a screw-up that all the mess in this play came from him picking the wrong Athenian.
Enter Oberon and Titania with their train.
Through the house give gathering light. By the dread and drowsy fire, every elf and fairy sprite hop as light as bird from briar. And this ditty after me sing and dance it trippingly.
First, rehearse your song by rote, to each word a warbling note. Hand in hand, with fairy grace, will we sing and bless this place.
Song and dance.
Now until the break of day, through this house each fairy stray. To the best bride bed will we, which by us shall blessed be, and the issue there create ever shall be fortunate. So shall all the couples three ever true and loving be. And the blots of nature's hand shall not in their issue stand. Never mole, hair lip, nor scar, nor mark prodigious such as are despised in nativity shall upon their children be. With this field do consecrate every fairy take his gate, and each several chamber bless through this place with sweet peace. And the owner of it blessed shall ever in safety rest. Trip away, make no stay, meet me all by break of day.
One thing that Oberon says in his blessing that makes one wonder if we're still kind of on that subject of whether or not love is separate from attraction is that as part of his kind of blessing of the couples, Oberon says, and the blots of nature's hand shall not in their issue stand, never mole, hair lip, nor scar, nor mark prodigious such as are despised in nativity shall upon their children be. He's basically saying that he's going to make sure that they have very physically beautiful offspring. And I think this gets back to that idea of physiognomy that we talked about. Oh, I should not have attempted to spell that. That we talked about as far back as Richard III, this belief that existed at that time that one's character could be told by one's attractiveness, that people who were very honorable and virtuous and kind and pure would be good looking, and people who were evil and dastardly and mean would be bad looking, even to the level of having, these different traits like moles, hair lips, or scars that Oberon lists out. It seems to be maybe a place where Shakespeare is saying, if the theme of this play has been that love is separate from looks, don't be so quick to say, oh, that's the case forever. Looks still mean something, and looks probably still mean more than they should in a lot of cases. The fact that Oberon ends by saying he'll make sure that their offspring are physically beautiful is maybe Shakespeare reminding the audience that you can talk all you want about how love is different from attraction, but at the end of the day, we probably experience more attraction than love on the whole, at least in early life, and attraction still plays a large role in who we go after and who goes after us.
Exeunt Oberon, Titania, and train.
If we shadows have offended, think but this, and all is mended, that you have but slumbered here while these visions did appear, and this weak and idle theme, no more yielding but a dream, gentles do not reprehend. If you pardon, we will mend. And as I am an honest Puck, if we have unearned luck now to scape the serpent's tongue, we will make amends ere long, else the Puck a liar call. So good night unto you all. Give me your hands if we be friends, and Robin shall restore amends.
All right, and so that's the end of the play. Puck's famous closing speech here that he gives directly to the audience, seeming to acknowledge that he knew he was part of a play that we've been watching all along. Giving the message that if anything happened here that you didn't like, we're sorry, and the best thing you can do is just think of it as a dream, the same way that the lovers thought of what they went through, seeming to suggest that everything in life that's unpleasant, people tend to kind of just push away and think of as dreams. So that's the end of the play there. I didn't speak a lot during this one, because I feel like the play speaks for itself in the play within the play, and also because there will not be questions attached to this. I'll just jump directly into the essay prompts and post those today, so you can get a jump on those for tomorrow if you would like. So have a good one. I will see if there's any public domain videos of Midsummer Night's Dream I can provide, even the one from the 30s, which I don't think is out of copyright yet, but who knows if anybody's been so dastardly as to upload it to YouTube, so that you can finish kind of getting a sense of how it's played in front of an audience rather than just spoken or read about. Have a good afternoon. I look forward to hearing and reading your work on the essays, and I will see you